What's good? It's Wrestle Kingdom here, and today's we're going to be discussing the recent episode of Monday Night Raw. And we're going to be discussing the main event of the recent episode of Monday Night Raw, the gauntlet match to decide who would face Gunther for the Intercontinental title. The six contestants were Chad Gable, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bronson Reed, Sami Zayn, Ricochet, and JD McDonough. It came down to the last two contestants between the two favorites, Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. But let's go into the narrative and the stories between the two before we dive into the match and the winner. The story between these two was the narrative. My fault. The narratives between these two was Sami Zayn wanting to prove himself, wanting to stop being the underdog, wanting to prove that he's a top guy, he's a contender, he could become a real champion. He's no longer the underdog guy. He's a real threat in the WWE. And Chad Gable narrative going into this match was trying to dethrone. He wants to dethrone Gunther, prove that he's the better man than Gunther after getting humiliated by his family. After Gunther beat Chad Gable, humiliate, embarrassing him in front of his family, in front of his daughter, crying in the front row. He wants that revenge on Gunther and wants to take the Intercontinental title. Gunther is the longest reigning Intercontinental champion, lasting 600, currently on 620 days as of right now, and it's only going to go, further until Wrestlemania. But these two were the last two remaining in the gauntlet match. These two put on a fantastic show. The whole match was a fantastic match, an amazing match from everyone that was in it. But it came down to Chad Gable and Sami Zayn, and shockingly, it came down to Sami Zayn picking up the victory over Chad Gable. And Sami Zayn actually lasted a while. I think he was the third guy that entered into this match. He lasted a very long time. Chad Gable was the last entrant into the match. He was the freshest one into the match. It was very shocking that Sami Zayn picked up the victory. And it's very controversial to decide who should win. Me personally, I think Chad Gable was more deserving and had the better narrative, and I think he needs it more. But I'm not mad at Sami Zayn winning. Sami Zayn is one of my favorite wrestlers. I'm not mad at him getting the chance to dethrone Gunther. He's a worthy opponent. I just feel like Chad Gable had the better narrative, the better story, had the better reasoning, and I feel like he needs it more, considering that Chad Gable hasn't really broke out at the single star. Sami Zayn already won the Intercontinental title, already is known as a single star. Chad Gable is trying to break into that single stardom, would have built up the new star. He's still part of a tag team, but hasn't really been in tag team action as of recently. So it would have been a great moment to finally had Chad Gable become that new breakout star. But I'm not mad with Sami Zayn winning. But I'm curious to you guys, do you think Sami Zayn was the right choice? I know a lot of people wanted Chad Gable to win, which I'm not mad at. I think Chad Gable deserves it. Shoot, he was the over favorite into this match. Chad Gable was getting the loudest reaction into this match. Sami Zayn is still over. He's still one of the most popular wrestlers, but Chad Gable was the overwhelming favorite. I'm very surprised they went with the decision, but I'm not mad at this decision. Now, I am curious to know, will they have Sami Zayn actually dethrone Gunther? That's the question I'm very interested. Now, because the narrative of Sami Zayn is to stop being an underdog and prove that he's a top guy, that he could be a champion. Sami Zayn already been an Intercontinental champion, but I'm curious, will they actually let him dethrone Gunther? Because his story is a narrative that you could kind of drag on, where I felt as with Chad Gable, you kind of had to let him win, if that makes sense. Because his story was, I got to do this for my family, I got to do this for my daughter, you made my daughter cry, etc., etc. So him losing wouldn't have made more sense, where I feel like Sami Zayn, you could kind of drag on his story of being an underdog with him losing to Gunther. Now, do I think he should lose to Gunther? That's a different, that's actually very interesting. I don't know how I feel. I'm not mad if Gunther loses, but I wouldn't be mad if Gunther wins or retains. But I do think it will be a good match. I think it will be a good narrative that they will draw. I think it will be a good feud, even though I think we only have like 2 weeks left to really build up this feud. But I'm actually very interested. What do you guys think of this? Because it is very controversial right now. A lot of people wanted Chad Gable to win, including myself. Like I said, I really think Chad Gable should have got the opportunity, considering that they had 3 matches, if I'm not mistaken. They had 3 matches all on Monday Night Raw, no pay-per-view. All of them coming down to the wire. Chad Gable actually beat Gunther. He was the last. I think that was the last person Gunther actually lost to. It just didn't. He just didn't win the championship because it was due to a count out. So the fact that Chad Gable was the one that was the closest to dethroning Gunther over his 620-day title reign is very impressive. And I really think they could have played into that narrative of Chad Gable dethroning Gunther. The fact that he was the closest one to dethroning Gunther. He's the one who pushed him to the edge. You know, the whole, you embarrass my family. I got to do this for my family. This match means more. I really think they could have played into that narrative. I'm not mad with the decision of Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn would be a worthy opponent. And I think Sami Zayn, he's deserving of it. I do think Chad Gable was more deserving of it, but I'm not mad with the decision of Chad Gable. It makes total sense why they want Sami Zayn to be in this match to face Gunther at this year's WrestleMania. It makes perfect sense. He's the bigger name, bigger star. It makes total sense. I'm just curious though, do you guys actually see Sami Zayn dethroning Gunther? That's an interesting question. I'm not really sure about this, but I wonder what you guys would say in the comment section. I'm curious to what you guys think. Who should have won? Who should have won? Should it have been Sami Zayn? Should it have been Chad Gable? Or should it have been someone else? But I'm very curious of this match and how this would go and the narrative that they're going to play of Sami Zayn not wanting to be an underdog. And I'm curious of, will they actually pull the trigger on having Sami Zayn dethrone Gunther? It really wouldn't surprise me. But as of right now, I can't really say, but if I had to bet money, I would say for now, it would have to be Gunther retaining. But I'm very interested to see how this plays out. But that's all I have to say, man. I just want to know what you guys' thoughts and opinions, man. But yeah, that's it.